The waiter's expression said it all. He'd seen dozens of proposals at Harborview, Seattle's finest waterfront restaurant, but a marriage unraveling? That was a new kind of drama. My husband, David, who'd shared my life for 10 years, just announced he was leaving me for his assistant, Emma, right after ordering a bottle of champagne. I'm Rachel, and this is how my anniversary dinner turned into a divorce declaration. You can't be serious, I said, my voice steadier than the storm brewing inside me. The lights from Puget Sound glinted off David's smug grin as he adjusted his tie. The navy silk one I'd gifted him last Christmas. I've never been more serious, he replied, reaching for his glass. Emma and I have been together for months. She understands ambition. Unlike some people wasting their days on useless coding hobbies. The waiter lingered awkwardly by our table, still clutching the champagne bottle. David waved him off with a flick of his wrist. When were you planning to tell me? I asked, folding my napkin with deliberate precision. Or was humiliating me on our 10th anniversary part of the thrill? Call it efficiency, David said with a chuckle. Besides, you should appreciate the timing. The market's hot right now, and Emma's father is a divorce attorney. He's already drawn up the papers. My stomach twisted. The market? What did you do with our accounts? Our future. I reached for my phone, fingers trembling slightly. Oh, and speaking of that, David continued, standing and smoothing his jacket. Emma's waiting for me at the pink door. I'll break the good news in person. He paused, smirking. Don't bother checking the joint accounts. I've moved everything. Your freelance gigs barely cover coffee. I watched him toss 3 crisp $100 bills onto the table, not even glancing back as he strode out. The restaurant fell silent. Pitying eyes from nearby tables bored into me. Whispers floated through the air. The waiter approached cautiously, like I might shatter. Ma'am, would you like the check? I cut him off, grabbing the champagne glass. I'll take the bottle. The drive home was a haze of city lights and quiet rage. Our house now, I suppose, looked exactly as we'd left it 2 hours ago. David's running shoes by the front door. His coffee mug in the sink. His laptop charging on the kitchen counter. I walked past it all, straight to my office. My hands were steady as I opened my laptop and typed the password. A notification blinked in the corner. Backup complete. Memory preserved. David always mocked my meaningless coding projects. He never asked what I actually did, never cared about my past career in cybersecurity, never wondered why I chose freelancing over lucrative corporate offers. I opened a secure email and typed a quick message. Lisa, it's done. Launch Plan B. Confirm when you've got the package. 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Rachel, oh my God. The timestamps on these transactions. How long have you known? I smiled, remembering the first red flag 6 months ago. A strange email. A hidden bank alert. David taking calls in the backyard, always at dusk. Long enough, I typed back. Is it all there? Every shady detail. But are you sure about this? Once we move forward. I took a sip of champagne straight from the bottle and replied. He drained our accounts and left me for his assistant on our anniversary. He thinks I'm some clueless tech nerd who'll roll over for his lawyer's deal. Another message from Lisa. Your call. But no turning back. I opened the folder I'd been building for months. David's emails. Financial records. Recordings of his backyard calls. The algorithm I'd written to track his money had uncovered everything. $2 million siphoned from our joint accounts into his private ones. My phone buzzed again. A text from David. Don't bother with the accounts. Passwords changed. Be smart about the divorce, and maybe I'll leave you the car. I stared at the folder labeled David's Reckoning and felt a calm settle over me. He thought he'd written the end of our story. He didn't know I'd been coding my own for months. I clicked to encrypt the folder and sent one last message to Lisa. Release the first package tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. Let's show David what a real tech nerd can do. The champagne tasted sharper with every sip. Tomorrow, David would learn that hell hath no fury like a woman with rude access. I sat in my office, the quiet hum of Seattle's Queen and neighborhood filtering through the window. The laptop screen glowed, casting shadows across the room. David's betrayal still burned, but my hands were steady as I stared at the notification. Backup complete. A digital lifeline. My insurance policy. David always scoffed at my coding. Called it a hobby, a waste of time. He never asked what I did in this room, late at night, when the house was still. Never cared about my years in cybersecurity, sniffing out vulnerabilities for banks. Never wondered why I turned down six-figure offers to freelance. I opened a secure chat and typed, "Lisa, it's go time. Plan B, send confirmation when you've got the package." Lisa, my old colleague from my corporate days, was the only one I trusted. She'd seen me build firewalls no one could crack. She knew I wasn't just some coder tinkering for fun. My phone buzzed almost instantly. "Rachel, holy hell. The timestamps on these transactions. How long have you known?" 6 months. That's when I saw the first crack in David's facade. A weird email, buried in his spam folder, about an offshore transfer. Then a bank alert for an account I didn't recognize. And those backyard calls, always at dusk, his voice low and guarded. I typed back, "Long enough. You got everything?" "Every dirty detail," Lisa replied. "Transfers, emails, call logs." "But Rachel, are you sure? This is a one-way street." I leaned back, the champagne bottle still cold in my hand. David thought he'd gutted me, left me with nothing. $2 million, drained from our accounts. He thought I was too naive to notice, too weak to fight back. He didn't know I'd been watching him longer than he'd been cheating. I typed my response. "He humiliated me on our anniversary. Ran off with Emma. Thinks I'll just sign his lawyer's papers. Let's show him who's naive." I opened the folder I'd been curating for months. David's reckoning. Inside, a digital arsenal. His emails, flagged by my custom script for keywords like transfer and offshore. Bank records, traced through a maze of shell companies. Audio files from the tiny recorder I'd hidden near the patio, capturing his late-night deals. My algorithm had mapped every move, every cent. $2 million funneled into accounts he thought were untouchable. Lisa's next message popped up. "This is next level, Rachel. Your old cybersecurity tricks are terrifying. But what's the play?" I sipped the champagne, the bubbles sharp against my tongue. "Plan B," I typed. "First package drops tomorrow, 9 a.m. His company email. Let him sweat." Lisa replied, "And if he tries to cover it up?" "He won't," I wrote. "My code's already in his system. Every move he makes, I'll see it. Every file he deletes, I've got a copy." I pulled up the algorithm's dashboard. A web of transactions lit up the screen, each node a piece of David's betrayal. 6 months ago, I'd started digging after that first odd email. By month 2, I'd cracked his burner phone's encryption. By month 4, I'd traced the money to a Bahamas account. $5 million, not just our savings, but something bigger. Something illegal. My phone buzzed again. David, texting like he still had the upper hand. "Be reasonable, Rachel. Don't make this messy. I might let you keep the house." I stared at the message, then at my screen. The folder pulsed with evidence, his lies, his theft, his arrogance. He thought he'd erased me from his story. He didn't know I'd been rewriting it. I typed one last message to Lisa. "Make sure the package is loud. I want his whole office to hear it." The screen dimmed as I closed the laptop. Outside, Seattle's lights flickered against the night. David had underestimated me for years. Tomorrow, he'd learn what a woman with a keyboard and a grudge could do. I hadn't slept. Why bother when revenge felt better than any dream? By 8:45 a.m., I was on my third cup of coffee, eyes locked on my laptop screen in my queen and office. The first package was primed to hit David's company email at Burton Enterprises, right in the heart of Seattle's financial district. I'd timed it perfectly. David always checked his inbox at 9 a.m. sharp. Corporate habit. My phone buzzed. Lisa, you sure about the timing? Trust me, I typed back. He's predictable as clockwork. I opened the monitoring feed I'd set up months ago. The first red flag wasn't some cliché like lipstick on his collar. It was a bank alert, a new account in the Bahamas with transfers too slick to be legit. $5 million funneled through shell companies. My algorithm had caught it all, every dirty cent. Lisa's message popped up. Package is live. Brace yourself. I leaned closer, watching the feed. At exactly 9 a.m., David's office IP lit up. He'd opened the email. The subject line was simple: your transactions exposed. Inside, a curated sample of his crimes. Screenshots of offshore transfers. Timestamps of his backyard calls. A single audio clip of him coaching Emma on handling the paperwork. My phone rang. Lisa again. Rachel, he's freaking out. He just tried to log into the Bahamas account. It's locked. Good, I replied. Let him squirm. I switched to the security feed I'd tapped into at Burton Enterprises. David's office camera showed him pacing, phone pressed to his ear. His timey Christmas gift was loose, his face pale. He typed furiously, probably trying to delete the evidence. Too bad my code had already mirrored every file. Another buzz. A text from David. What the hell did you do? I smiled, sipping my coffee. Just getting started, I typed back. Check your personal email. The one you use for your side projects. He didn't reply, but the feed showed him scrambling to open his private account. I'd sent a second package there. A teaser of what was coming, a ledger of his fake vendor contracts, inflating costs to siphon millions. $5 million, to be exact, hidden in accounts he thought were untouchable. My phone rang again. David's voice, low and furious. How did you get into those files? They were secure. Secure, I said, leaning back. Like our marriage? Like the $2 million you stole from our accounts? He sputtered. You're out of your depth, Rachel. You don't know what you're messing with. Oh, I know exactly what I'm messing with, I said. $5 million in fraud. Fake contracts. Shell companies. And Emma? Does she know you're setting her up to take the fall? Silence. Then you wouldn't dare. Try me, I said. In about an hour, your company's fraud team gets an anonymous tip. By noon, they'll freeze every suspicious account. By lunch, they'll be grilling Emma. You're bluffing, he hissed. Am I? I paused, letting the words sink in. You never asked about my work, David. Before freelancing, I built fraud detection systems for banks. The same ones your company uses. Funny how that works. More silence. I could almost hear his panic through the line. You've got 1 hour, David. Tell Emma to lawyer up. Or don't. I'm sure she'll love being your scapegoat. I hung up and texted Lisa. He's hooked. Start phase 2. Lisa replied. Fraud team's already sniffing. You're scary good at this. I pulled up the algorithm's dashboard. Lines of code danced across the screen, tracking every move David made. He thought he could erase his tracks. He didn't know I'd been backing up his digital footprints for months. Outside, Seattle's morning buzzed with life. Inside, I watched David's world unravel, one click at a time. He'd called my work meaningless. Now my hobby was about to cost him everything. I leaned back, the coffee warm in my hands. This was just the beginning. Claire's house in Bellevue gleamed like a magazine cover. Perfect lawn, designer curtains, and a faint air of judgment waiting behind the door. I hadn't visited my sister in months, but desperation drove me here. David's betrayal was still raw, and I needed answers. Claire opened the door in yoga gear, a green smoothie in hand. Rachel, what are you doing here? David left me, I said, stepping inside. Her manicured hand froze midair. Come in, she said, voice tight. Tell me everything. I followed her into the spotless living room. Fresh flowers sat on the coffee table, expensive art lined the walls. Claire had always been the golden sister married to wealth, playing by society's rules. I sat across from her on the white leather couch. It happened last night. Our anniversary dinner at Harborview. He's with Emma, his assistant. Claire's expression flickered, just for a second. She knew something. You heard about them, didn't you? I pressed. She looked away, sipping her smoothie. There were rumors at the company gala last month. I didn't think it was my place to say. Didn't think? My jaw tightened. He humiliated me, Claire. And that's not the worst of it. He's stealing from Burton Enterprises. Millions. She laughed, but it was shaky. Don't be ridiculous. $5 million, I said, leaning forward. Offshore accounts in the Bahamas. Fake contracts. Money laundering. And you're tangled up in it, aren't you? Claire Solutions, LLC. I saw your signature on the shell company papers. Claire stood abruptly, pacing the room. You don't understand. David needed help reorganizing some accounts. It was temporary. Temporary fraud is still fraud, I said, my voice low. He told you it was for taxes, didn't he? She turned, eyes wide. He said it was legal. Besides, you were always buried in your laptop, Rachel. What did you expect him to do? I pulled out my phone and played a recording. David's voice, clear and cold, discussing transfer protocols with Claire. Her face went pale. You recorded us? No, I said. My algorithm did. It flags suspicious financial activity. Caught some interesting calls, too. You spied on your own husband? Her voice cracked. I protected myself, I said, standing. And now I'm trying to protect you. The company's investigating, Claire. They'll find everything. She hugged herself, shaking. Protect me? You're tearing this family apart. Don't you know what David means to us? What are you talking about? I stepped closer. Dad's inheritance, she whispered. The money that vanished before he died. David knows where it went. My stomach dropped. Dad died broke. Medical bills ate everything. Claire grabbed her phone and showed me an email. Wake up, Rachel. Dad wasn't broke. Someone stole his money, and David has proof. He's been holding it over me for months. I scanned the email, my head spinning. Blackmail. That's why you helped him, I said. He threatened to ruin Dad's reputation. I had no choice, she said, tears welling. It would destroy Mom if this got out. I forwarded the email to myself. You always have a choice, Claire. You chose him. Again. Her eyes narrowed. Again? What's that supposed to mean? You dated him first, I said, heading for the door. Then pushed him toward me when he got that promotion. Said we'd be perfect together. Guess you never really let go. That's not fair, she called after me. Neither is helping your ex steal millions and bury family secrets, I shot back, pausing at the threshold. Investigators will come for you soon. Pick your side carefully. Rachel, wait. She grabbed my arm. What are you going to do? I pulled free gently. What I'm best at. Following the truth. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed. Lisa. Company froze the suspicious accounts. David's being called in. But there's a problem. Someone's accessing your cloud storage, trying to delete the files. I glanced back at Claire's house. Through the window, I saw her tapping her phone. My fingers flew across my screen. Block all access. Initiate lockdown. Lisa replied, That'll lock you out too. Do it, I typed. And send me everything on Dad's estate. David's not the only one hiding something. Claire rushed out, calling my name. Rachel, please. You don't know what you're doing. I rolled down the window. Actually, sis, for the first time in years, I know exactly what I'm doing. I started the car. Say hi to David for me. The drive to Tacoma felt endless, Seattle's skyline fading in my rearview mirror. Aunt Helen's cryptic text had burned itself into my mind. Come alone. We need to discuss your father's real inheritance. Her mansion loomed against the evening sky, all Gothic arches and old money silence. the kind of place that held secrets in its walls. Mrs. Evans, the housekeeper, led me through dim hallways to Helen's office. My aunt sat surrounded by computer screens and file cabinets, not the knitting auntie setup I'd expected from a 63-year-old widow. "Finally claiming your inheritance, Rachel," she said, not looking up. "What inheritance?" I replied, sinking into a leather chair. "Dad died broke." She laughed, sharp and knowing. "Did David tell you that, too?" "Sit down, sweetheart. We've got a lot to cover." My phone buzzed. "Lisa, James from Investigations needs a secure line. Urgent." "Give me a second," I told Helen, stepping into the hall. James's voice was rough. "Your first package helped, but David's lawyer is slick. We need more. Check the offshore accounts tied to Claire Solutions LLC. And lock down any deleted access." I cursed under my breath. Claire must have tipped him off. "1 hour," I said. "You'll have everything." Back in the office, Helen watched me with a glint in her eye. "Trouble with your revenge plan? How'd you pull it off?" She turned a screen toward me. A dashboard of my cyber campaign, every email, every tracked transaction. "Impressive. Your dad would be proud." "My dad was an accountant who lost everything," I said, voice tight. Helen opened a drawer. "He was a whistleblower. Exposed a massive financial scheme. It cost him his savings and his life." She handed me a USB drive. "Everything's here. His evidence, the accounts he uncovered, the people he investigated. Including David's father." My hands trembled. "David's father? You think that's why David married me? To get to Dad's files?" "Exactly," Helen said. "To make sure nothing surfaced." My phone buzzed again. "Lisa, your cloud data is being deleted. Someone's wiping everything." "Damn it," I muttered. Helen checked her screen. "It's David, using Claire's credentials. The attack's coming from a server registered to his father's old firm." I plugged in the USB, fingers racing over my keyboard. "Can we stop it?" Helen smiled, typing commands. "We can trace it. Your dad taught me a few tricks before he passed." Alerts flooded my screen. Hidden accounts, encrypted messages, a decades-long web of fraud. Helen leaned in. "David's father didn't just steal from companies. He stole evidence, used it to blackmail. David learned from the best." My phone rang. David's voice, smug. "It's over, Rachel. Your evidence is gone." Claire confirmed the deletion. "Really?" I said, voice calm. "Check your secure server." I heard frantic typing, then silence. "How?" he whispered. "Say hi to Helen," I said. She and Dad had a lot in common. Like keeping backups. "You don't know what you're doing," he hissed. "This isn't just about us. It's the whole company. It started because of what your dad did to mine." More silence. "James is waiting for my call," I said. "Should I send him everything, or just the parts about your family?" Helen grabbed the phone. "Hi, David. Remember me? The widow who funded your first project? I've got some documents about that, too." My laptop pinged. "Lisa, got everything. James's team is moving in." "Check the news, David," I said, taking the phone back. "Your dad's legacy is about to go viral." I hung up as headlines flashed online. Multi-generational fraud exposed. Whistleblower's death tied to cover-up. Arrests imminent. "Well done," Helen said, pouring 2 whiskeys. "But the hard part's next. Dealing with Claire." My phone buzzed. "Claire. I'm coming to stop you." "Let her come," I said, grabbing the glass. "It's time she faces the truth." The coffee shop across from Burton Enterprises in Seattle had strong Wi-Fi and an even better view of the chaos unfolding. I picked my seat carefully. Back corner, clear sight line to the glass tower where Emma's world was about to implode. My laptop hummed, connected to the building's security system. A text from Lisa. "Targets approaching. Blue dress, looking nervous." Emma hurried across the plaza, clutching a designer bag. My algorithm had flagged a $3,000 purchase from one of David's hidden accounts. A gift to keep her loyal. Poor thing. I tapped into the HR department's feed. Busy day. A man in a suit approached Emma. Miss Carter, I'm Gregory from HR. Please come with me. My phone buzzed. David, sounding desperate. What did you send Emma? She's not answering. I smirked, typing back. Maybe she's reading your private messages. The ones where you call her your leverage. No response. I switched to the conference room feed. Emma sat, face tight, as Gregory slid papers across the table. Transfer records. All tied to her login credentials, courtesy of David's setup. How's the show? Lisa asked, sliding into the seat beside me with 2 coffees. Just getting good, I said. They're showing her the fake invoices David had her process. Lisa frowned. You're ruthless. Learn from the best, I said, nodding at my screen. Emma shook her head, tears streaming. Gregory handed her more papers, David's messages to his lawyer, plotting to pin everything on her. Innocent Emma. If it goes south, her computer's the trail. Oh my God, Lisa muttered. He really hung her out to dry. Classic David, I said, sipping my coffee. Did the same to Claire. Emma wiped her eyes, then straightened. Gregory slid a cooperation agreement across the table. She started writing. My phone lit up. David again. What did you tell her? The truth, I typed. Something you should try. She'll never turn on me, he shot back. I watched Emma scribble page after page. Wanna bet? A new figure entered the room. Sharp suit, all business. James from Corporate Investigations. Showtime, I muttered. Lisa leaned in. What's she saying? Everything, I said, pulling up another window. Midnight calls. Shady transfers. David insisting she use her login for training. Emma's phone buzzed on the table. She checked it, her face going white. Lisa glanced at me. What was that? A little gift, I said. An audio file. David telling his lawyer how easy she was to manipulate. The perfect fall guy. Damn, Rachel, Lisa whispered. You're a legend. He used her like he used me. Like he used Claire. I shut the feed as Emma kept writing, spilling every detail. But Emma's got a chance to save herself. Through the glass walls, I saw her stand, hands steady as she signed the forms. James nodded, approving. My phone pinged with a news alert. Fraud probe at Burton Enterprises escalates. Executive assistant turns whistleblower. Arrests expected. Lisa whistled. You didn't just ruin his career. You torched his safety net. I just showed the truth, I said, packing my laptop. Emma stepped out of the building, eyes red but head high. She paused on the steps, lost. Sorry, I told Lisa, grabbing my bag. I crossed the street. Tough day, I said to Emma. She looked up, wary. You could say that. Let me guess, I said. Boss lied, moved stolen money. Left you holding the bag. She squinted. Who are you? David's wife, I said. Soon to be ex. Her face fell. Oh God. No fighting, I said, handing her a business card. My lawyer's number. She's great with whistleblower cases. Call her. Why help me? Emma asked, voice small. Because you're not the bad guy, I said. Just another woman David used and tossed aside. I turned to leave. Check your email. I sent proof he was stealing before you started. It'll help your case. Wait, she called. You planned this. I smiled. Let's say I'm good with computers. And even better at settling scores. The conference room at Burton Enterprises crackled with tension. Behind the one-way glass, I watched David being led in, handcuffs glinting under the fluorescent lights. His tailored suit was wrinkled, a far cry from the smug man who'd walked out of Harborview. My heart pounded, but not from fear. This was my moment. Ready? Lisa asked, squeezing my shoulder. Been ready for months, I said, stepping toward the door. Inside, James and Gregory sat with stacks of files. David's eyes darted, his confidence frayed. Mr. Larson, James began, voice clipped. Care to explain these transactions? David leaned back, forcing a smirk. All legitimate. Just business. Gregory spread photos across the table. Like the heart attack your father staged for Thomas Harper? David's face twitched. I don't know what you're talking about. My phone buzzed. Lisa, autopsy results are in. Traces confirmed. I forwarded the message to James, who slid a tablet toward David. Your father was caught at a private airstrip with some interesting chemicals. Care to comment? I want my lawyer, David said, voice tight. Your lawyer's in custody, Gregory replied. Something about hiding evidence in multiple fraud cases. David's gaze snapped to the mirror, as if he could sense me. This is Rachel, isn't it? She's framing me. Framing you. James pulled out more documents. Like you framed Emma? Or blackmailed Claire? Everything's clean, David snapped. You've got nothing. My phone buzzed again. Helen, your dad's old partner is talking. It's all coming out. I forwarded that too. James read it, then leaned forward. We have witness statements, financial records, and physical evidence tying your family to at least 3 cover-ups. Want to try again? David slumped, but his jaw stayed tight. I want a deal. No deals, Gregory said. But cooperation might keep you out of max security. Fine, David spat. But I talked to my wife first. Ex-wife, I said, stepping into the room. He flinched. I sat across from him, calm as stone. Tough day, David. You ruined everything, he growled. No, I said. You did. I just pulled back the curtain. I opened my laptop, pulling up the offshore accounts. $5 million. Fake vendors. Shell companies. And this. I turned the screen, showing files his father thought he'd erased. Amazing what good encryption recovers. His face twisted. My father had to stop him. Your dad was going to ruin us. The poisoning was his idea. I just cleaned up. By marrying me, I said, voice steady, keeping me close, watching my work. He looked away. You weren't supposed to find out. But I did, I said. You called my work meaningless. That was your mistake. The door opened. Claire walked in, carrying files. The trust fund transfers are confirmed, she told James. They targeted Dad 2 days after he found them. David lunged for the files, but a guard held him back. Your father's in the next room, James said. Want to explain how you botched his plan? David's shoulders sagged. Over the next hour, he spilled it all. The fraud, the cover-ups, decades of corruption. I recorded every word, my phone capturing his confession like a trap snapping shut. Finally, James nodded to the guards. Take him away. As they led him out, David looked back. I loved you, Rachel. At first. No, I said, closing my laptop. You loved what I could give you. Access. A cover. Legitimacy. I met his eyes. Guess that backfired. The door shut behind him. Lisa waited outside with Claire. It's done, I said. Claire hugged me, her voice soft. Thank you for showing me the truth. My phone buzzed. Helen, your dad would be proud. Dinner tonight. We've got a legacy to discuss. I looked at Claire, at Lisa, at the empire crumbling across the street. Justice felt good. But I wasn't done yet. Thunder rumbled outside Aunt Helen's Tacoma mansion as Claire burst into the office, mascara streaking her face like war paint. What have you done? She demanded, slamming her hand on the desk. Expose the truth, I said, eyes fixed on my laptop. There's something you need to know, Claire. David's been arrested. They're saying he's tied to Dad's death, she whispered, collapsing into a chair. Not directly, Helen said, her voice cold as ice. His father did the heavy lifting. David just helped bury it. Claire shook her head. What are you talking about? I turned my laptop toward her. Remember Dad's heart attack? Look at this toxicology report. Traces of a rare poison. Undetectable, unless you know to look for it. No, Claire said, voice breaking. David wouldn't. His father would. Helen cut in. Your dad got too close to their scheme. David married Rachel to keep tabs on her, to make sure she never found the evidence. But he loved me first, Claire whispered. We dated before Rachel. He used you to get to me, I said softly. Just like he used Emma. Claire's face crumpled. He said if I helped with some deals, he'd keep quiet about Dad's missing inheritance. That money wasn't missing, I said, pulling up files from Helen's USB. It was stolen by David's father. Then they poisoned Dad to cover it up. How long have you known? Claire asked, eyes wide. Not long enough, I said. But Helen's been collecting evidence for years. Helen opened a safe behind her desk, spreading documents across the table. Bank statements, death certificates, coded messages. Your father wasn't just an accountant, she said. He was building a case against one of the biggest fraud rings in the country. David's family was at the center. Why didn't you tell us? Claire asked, voice trembling. David was watching, Helen said, pouring whiskey. He had to think he'd won. My phone buzzed. Lisa, cops found something in David's office. Safe full of pill bottles. Same poison. I showed Claire the photo. He kept it close. Just in case. She gagged, clutching the wastebasket. I helped him, she sobbed. Oh God, I helped kill Dad. No, I said, sliding beside her. You're a victim, too. But you can help us end this. How? She asked, wiping her eyes. Testify, I said. Tell them everything David made you do. How he blackmailed you. They'll arrest me, she said, shaking. Not if you cooperate, Helen said. I've got friends in the DA's office. They want David's empire, not you. Claire pulled out her phone, hands trembling. The real books for Claire Solutions, LLC. The ones David made me hide. They're here. My laptop pinged. An email from James. David's talking. Claims he has dirt on your family. Let him talk, I typed, forwarding Claire's files. We've got the truth. Claire hugged me, the first real embrace in years. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I should have seen it. We all should have, I said, hugging her back. But now we're doing the right thing. Helen's printer hummed, spitting out papers. Sign here, she told Claire. Full immunity for your testimony. Claire signed, her hand steadying with each stroke. My phone lit up with a news alert. Financial empire crumbles. Poisoning conspiracy exposed. Whistleblower's daughter unmasks decades-long fraud. Is it over? Claire asked, voice small. Almost, I said, opening my final protocol. One last thing. What? She asked. Dad set up a trust fund, I said, showing the account details. $3 million. David never found it. Enough to rebuild what they destroyed. Helen smiled. Your dad always said the best revenge is compound interest. Claire squeezed my hand. What now? We honor Dad's legacy, I said, shutting my laptop. We tell his story. Make sure no one else dies for the truth. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, Claire and I were sisters again, bound by truth, not torn by lies. The ocean breeze swept through my new office in Seattle's waterfront district, carrying the scent of salt and victory. My laptop sat open, the view of Puget Sound a reminder that some endings spark new beginnings. David's empire was collapsing, and I'd lit the fuse. Last file? Lisa asked, leaning against the doorway. Almost, I said, pulling up the terminal. Just tying up loose ends. My phone buzzed. Claire. Turn on the news. Verdicts in. I flicked on the wall screen. Headlines scrolled. Financial dynasty falls. David Larson and father face 30 years, no parole. The camera caught David being led into court, his once sharp eyes hollow with defeat. Lisa joined me at the window. Nice view. Better than a prison cell, I said, smiling. Where I'd be if David had found Dad's evidence first. My laptop pinged. An email from Emma, launching my cybersecurity firm next week. Thanks for the referral. Coffee soon? She's thriving, Lisa noted. So are we, I said, gesturing to my growing tech consulting office. Amazing what happens when you stop hiding your skills. The door swung open. Helen entered, elegant as ever. Trust fund transfers complete, she said. Your father's $3 million, back with interest and compensation. Use it for the Thomas Harper Fund, I said, taking the documents. For whistleblowers like Dad. Helen smiled. First case starts next week. My phone lit up. James from Investigations. More want to join the probe. You in? Always, I typed back. Still fighting corruption? Lisa asked, raising an eyebrow. Someone has to, I said, closing my laptop. Besides, I'm good at it. The screen showed David's sentencing. The camera lingered on his face, empty, broken. His father, spared a life sentence, shuffled beside him. I turned to the archive folder on my laptop. David's emails, evidence, our wedding photos. 10 years of lies. 1 month of revenge. Delete it? Lisa asked softly. Not yet, I said, turning to Helen. Tell me about Dad's other cases. The ones David hinted at. Helen pulled out a flash drive. All here. Your dad had connections. Many are still active. They need to meet the Harper women. I plugged it in. All of us. Claire burst in with lunch and fresh intel. The SEC's forming a task force. They want us involved. Us? I said, grinning. You handle finance, I handle tech. Helen's got the network. We're a hell of a team, Claire said, setting down sandwiches. I looked around. Claire, no longer shattered by David's lies. Lisa, loyal through every storm. Helen, carrying Dad's torch. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I opened the command window. Everyone watched as I typed, delete archive_Larson. Confirmed, I said, hitting enter. You sure? Lisa asked. That's your history. History's for learning, I said. Not dwelling. The files vanished, years of pain dissolving into code. On screen, David was led away, still searching for someone to blame. Helen raised her coffee mug. To fresh starts. To justice, Claire added. My phone buzzed. A surveillance alert. Someone was probing David's hidden accounts. More corrupt execs. We've got work to do, I said, tracing the signal. Claire peered over my shoulder. Just like Dad. Better, Helen said. Because now they've got all of us. I opened a new terminal, fingers gliding over the keys. Another conspiracy to unravel, another wrong to right. But this time, I wasn't alone. I wasn't running. Ready to save the world? Lisa asked, smirking. No, I said, watching my code flow across the screen. Ready to change it. Outside, the waves crashed against the shore. Inside, my new life pulsed with purpose. David thought he could erase me, break me. Instead, he forged something stronger, a legacy of truth, a reunited family, a mission as clear as my code. I hadn't just survived him. I'd outmaneuvered him, line by line, justice by justice. The Seattle waterfront stretched out before my office, waves glinting under the morning sun. My laptop was closed, but the hum of purpose filled the room. David's empire was dust, and from its ashes, I was building something new. A legacy. A fight worth winning. Claire sat across from me, flipping through SEC documents. They want us on their task force, she said, eyes bright. You for tech, me for finance, Helen for strategy. A powerhouse, I said, smiling. Dad would love this. Helen walked in, carrying a stack of files. The Thomas Harper Fund's first case is live. $3 million, already making waves for whistleblowers. I leaned back, the ocean breeze slipping through the window. It's what Dad started. We're just finishing it. Lisa popped her head in. You see the news? Another exec scrambling after your latest trace. Let them run, I said. My code's faster. Claire laughed, the sound lighter than I'd heard in years. You're unstoppable, Rachel. Not just me, I said, looking at her, then Helen, then Lisa. Us. My phone buzzed. Emma. Cybersecurity launch went great. Thanks for believing in me. Dinner soon? I typed back. Proud of you. Name the place. She's a fighter, Helen said, reading over my shoulder. Like you. I stood, walking to the window. Puget Sound sparkled, a reminder of how far I'd come. David thought he could bury Mimi work, my family, my truth. Instead, he'd handed me the tools to rebuild. His betrayal had forged us, sisters reunited, allies forged in fire, a mission sharper than any algorithm. What's next? Lisa asked, tossing me a coffee. I caught it, grinning. Another conspiracy. Another lie to crack open. Claire joined me at the window. Just like Dad. Better, I said. He fought alone. We've got each other. Helen pulled out a flash drive. Your dad's old cases. Connections still active. They're waiting for the Harper women. I plugged it in, the screen lighting up with names, accounts, secrets. Let's introduce ourselves. Outside, the waves kept crashing, steady and relentless. Inside, my new life burned bright. David had underestimated me, called my work meaningless. Now, that work was rewriting history. $3 million in fraud exposed. A family healed. A father's legacy restored. Lunch? Claire asked, packing up. Mostly, I said, opening a new protocol. Phoenix rising. First, let's see who else is hiding secrets. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Still chasing revenge? Not revenge, I said, fingers flying over the keys. Rebuilding. Creating something better from the ruins. Helen raised her coffee mug. To Thomas Harper. To truth, Claire added. I raised mine. To us. The screen pulsed with code, each line a step toward justice. David thought he'd erased me. Instead, he'd awakened something unstoppable. I wasn't just surviving. I was rewriting the rules, line by line, fight by fight. Ready to change the world? Lisa asked, smirking. Already started, I said, watching the ocean roll on. Some battles end with a fall. Mine began with a rise. And I was just getting started.